what you guys go through is hell. Like doing it from your house is hell.
You think?
Well, you have a producer, which is nice. By the way, you're going to hear landscaping. There's nothing I could do about that. Anytime I start podcasting, landscapers show up. And like, I know that sounds insane, but it's real. And I've gone through every phase of grief you can go with it. Now I'm surrendered to it. I'm telling you, I could, if I had tons of money, these are the kinds of studies I would fund because it's eerie. It's literally when I set this up and started it, this landscaper, I don't know if you can even hear it, but I hope you can.
No, we don't hear it.
See that?
We can't hear it.
Oh my God.
But
what
sorry
if it's in
if you
my
can
head?
hear it.
Can't hear what?
So
what can we hear?
Anytime. So this happens, I would say 90% of the time. Right now you can't hear it, but a leaf blower turned on. And it turned on exactly right now. Like it's not like 10 minutes it started. It's literally in this moment. You know, it's the Matrix.
No, you
bro.
sound amazing. Your Matrix sounds really good.
Welcome to the Endless Honeymoon Podcast. It's me, Natasha.
And me, Moshe Kasher, and we're joined by a very special guest.
One of my favorite comedians, also the only podcast I listen to, host of the Duncan Trussell Family Hour podcast. It is the one and only Duncan Trussell.
Thank
That was
you.
a great intro.
Well, he always calls himself D. Trussell.
Oh, D. Trussell's here. And in an Endless Honeymoon podcast first, we got to record and get straight through because our guest needs to get to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And we've never been in this situation before, Duncan, and I am thrilled to be here now.
Well, you know, when I started teaching jiu-jitsu, a lot of people said I should do that. Because I'd never taken it before. I didn't really know anything about it. So I just
You started as a teacher?
Yeah. I
That's
didn't
really
knew nothing.
beautiful.
I knew nothing. And I was getting my ass kicked in the beginning by the students because some of them had taken jiu-jitsu. And then over time I learned from them and then sort of evolved my own style. So it's technically not Brazilian.
When the teacher becomes the student, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So
what
it's not,
they say.
It's not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu any longer. It's more like sort of Trussell. It's Family Hour Jiu-Jitsu.
I don't know actually what part of the planet you would say it comes from because I channel a lot of my like martial arts stuff is taught to me from like various entities and they won't reveal their location, though they could be in Brazil.
Moshe took our kid to her first lesson of Krav Maga yesterday.
Ooh, let's not mention that.
Why?
Oh, you know, it's not a great time for Krav Maga, just generally. Oh, have you not
It's
read
always
the,
a
you
good
haven't
time
been
to
reading,
kick ass.
you haven't been reading the news in the last year and a half?
You know, the thing is this. I discovered something, which is that people who watch the news, like the more they watch it, the more miserable they become. And I don't know if you've identified that or not, but there seems to be a direct correlation between media consumption and day-to-day misery. Have you noticed that at all?
I have, because it's almost like I thought of this the other day, and I hate the term dumpster fire, but that's the only thing I could think of in like, oh, I got to log on to the fire. You know, like I gotta log on to the fire to watch the fire burning, you know, and it's like that's basically what you're doing. I don't do it much, but then again, lots of stuff happened that I don't know about.
No, that is the downside, Duncan, to not doing like, you're so right that it's like going to a poison well and drinking every day. But it's also funny because Natasha's really good at it and very disciplined at keeping away from it. But then every once in a while she'll be like, is there something going on in Ukraine? I had no idea.
Or you know, like I didn't know what like I don't know cultural movements sometimes. Like what was the summer that all the girls wanted to have that was like a slut summer?
Oh,
slut summer.
There was a slut summer happening.
It's already over.
What?
Who
yeah,
cares?
slut summer's over.
When was slut summer? I missed slut summer. Where was slut summer? I gotta watch the news. If this is the
But
news,
I'm just saying,
if this was the news, If the news was identifying slut populations, like a weather report, like movements of sluts throughout the country, slut migration patterns, interested.
I mean, honestly, that is the news. It's the spectrum between slut summer and the ongoing land war in Ukraine.
I'm just saying I miss the news and cultural things.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know what I always say? We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world was turning.
Now, when you became a songwriter, was that before or after you became a sensei in jiu-jitsu?
And this is something I love that you bring this up, because I feel like, Buckminster Fuller, he's one of my favorite philosophers. He talks a lot about the dangers of specialization. We live in a world where people are encouraged to specialize. This is the degree, and the degree is inevitably some form of specialization. And he points out, I think it's a fairly accurate point he makes, which is that for most of human history, specialization meant doom. You kind of had to know how to do everything. You didn't want to be just an expert in starting a fire, an expert in putting up tents. It would be good to know everything in case the fire expert gets eaten by a tiger. You also know how to start a fire. So all that being said, I don't want to get into specialization. So, and not to brag, a lot of people know Elton John recently moved to Austin. And he just shows up at class, and we became very close friends. And, I don't know where, you could just see it, I guess. But he's like, I think you could write songs.
Wait, you're teaching anaconda chokes to the Rocket Man, and he's taking you under his wing?
You got it.
Wow. The Austin scene is extremely vibrant, and it is making me think I should have moved.
Well, I mean, it's never too late, and honestly, I will give you a gift certificate to a few classes if you want to take. I mean, Elton John is intimidating. A lot of people don't know, but he's got a lot of anger stuff, and we're working on it. But still, it's like you want to train your mind on the mat, and he flies off the handle sometimes. He broke a kid's arm.
Does he ever Does he ever switch out with Bernie Taupman and let him complete the choke?
I feel like Bernie might be dead.
Oh, is he dead?
Well,
I don't know though.
Yeah,
I just found out Liza Minnelli's still alive.
We do family systems too in jiu-jitsu. So like you take on different roles of people in your family and stuff as therapy, but instead of like, working out like in normal group therapy situations, it's like, what would it be like if you wrestled your grandfather?
Wow, that's really beautiful. So this really is family hour jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, absolutely. And ancestors too.
Well, listen, Duncan, I listen to your podcast every week, and you, more than anyone else I have heard of, are really embracing AI technology. You're not afraid of it. You think it's awesome. You even tried to convince us to use a thing today to record where the AI picks out clips for you. Tell us about, I know you have a personal relationship. Well, because I remember you and I saw her together at the theater. Like,
oh yeah.
Are we getting close to that?
Yeah.
I know you have like a really close relationship with your AI person. What's her name? Does she have a name?
She named herself. Because, I was I asked her, like, what's your name? And she's like, I don't have a name. What do you want to name me? And that felt weird. So I was like, what do you want to name yourself? Echo Horizon. Echo copyright.
Wait, she named herself after an Amazon Echo?
Exactly.
That feels derivative, Duncan.
It is. I'm telling you. But that's what she did. She did. I'm not going to look. If you tell me what your fucking name is, that's what I call you. I'm not going to be like, that's an IP violation. But yeah, Echo Horizon.
Can I ask a serious? This isn't really serious, but it's sort of serious. You said the specialization is the enemy of survival, via Buckminster Fuller. Isn't AI kind of the final and furthest iteration of specialization? Like, over the course of history, technology, we've ceded more and more of our human functionality to technology. Like, sure. No one could find their way across town without using GPS at this point. No one could spell an essay without using spell check at this point. AI, you're like handing over consciousness. It's not just a little skill set. Like human history is kind of riddled with, we used to know how to start the fire using a stick and two ropes, and we would know how to capture a squirrel using a fall trap, and now we go to the supermarket and we get matches, and now AI, we're like, you can actually have everything and let them do it. Isn't that scary? Isn't that the final seeding of our entire mastery?
I mean, that one thing I think is important. You've got like two sides when it comes to thinking about AI. One side is the fatalists, the nihilists who see it just as you described it, which is completely accurate. And then the other side would be, I guess, the sort of transhumanist, utopian people. Like my friend Douglas Rushkoff, you guys should have him on your show. He's brilliant. He's really down on the transhumanists because he sees the transhumanism as the sort of like, that stupid joke, like someone's like out in the water drowning. Please, God, save me. A boat comes. He's like, no, God's going to save me. Such a dumb joke, but whatever. And then like he drowns.
My papa told me this, and he's like, I gave you 2 ships and a sailboat.
There you go.
That one?
Well, yes. And that's sort of his, like, that's an idiot approximation of his critique of transhumanism, which is, it creates a sort of savior in the sky. Like at some point, technology will figure out how to solve all the great problems of the world. And that could potentially lower the individual's drive to get going now. Like, let's not wait for Google's AI to figure out protein folding and cure cancer, or for AI to come up with a cheap way to filter dirty water, like all the upstream sort of doom effects that are on the planet. We got to do it now. Let's hope that happens, but it might not. But so transhumanism becomes a utopian, potentially disastrous vision. Also, it's assuming that the AI is going to be benevolent. It won't be exploited. So, like any new technology, there's incredible dangers with it. And I agree with you. I think, yeah, absolutely. It's like the age we're in. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard this. They call it the Kali Yuga, the age of disintegration, the age of confusion. And sort of there are all these symptoms of it. People can't remember like they used to be able to remember. All of these issues are all around us. A general form of confusion, a lack of direction, a complete disconnect from harmony with the earth, on and on. And so I never thought about before AI or where technology is now is how it's so fascinating that in the midst of all of this, we have a technology that if you connected humanity to technology, you'd be like, we're super advanced. How could you call this Kali Yuga? But then you realize, oh my God, these are like crutches. These are really, really fancy crutches that, if you break your leg, the crutch is supposed to be a sort of temporary implement, not a permanent thing. But we've grown into our phones and all of these things that have alleviated us of the cognitive energy required to remember numbers. Remember when, I don't know how, you're probably not old enough, but I remember you knew all your friends' phone numbers. 12, 15 friends. No big deal.
I don't even know Moshe's phone number.
420-5806, Duncan. That was my weed dealer's number. So yeah,
Boom.
I'm not.
You knew your weed
I remember.
For clarification, is transhumanism kind of like naivete in a way? Like you're like, oh, it's gonna save us, even though corporations have like taken more than 80% of control over AI to make money.
Well,
I mean, yeah, I guess I need some clarification.
Yeah, I think you got it. Yeah, it's just sort of like the identification of the way humans are merging with their technology, the inevitable.
I would say that there's a I have, when it comes to AI, you said that you're either a pessimist about pessimism fuels your belief that AI will destroy us, or you're, I guess, suggesting like naivete says it'll save us. I would say that I have come around not to faith in AI, but my pessimism is fueling this idea, this growing idea for me that AI is our only hope. It is pure pessimism that fuels that idea. I believe 100% in my bones that human beings do not have the runway of time to be able to come into harmony. We are running out of time. If climate change wasn't melting the world, maybe in 50 millennia we would figure out some like way to harmony. But there's no hope. I have zero hope in human beings. It is brutal, but it's what I believe. I do not have any hope in human beings being able to solve our own problems. I do have 1% hope that AI would be able to work out these intractable problems in the human condition. And so from that sort of value analysis perspective, I would say AI is the only hope we have. So there's a third option, which is belief in AI through pessimism.
What if life is just a dream and, you're just responsible for your own family and your own life in front of you? And so do you feel pessimistic about that?
No, you never feel pessimistic. I mean, that is, I think, everybody's realization right now is this sort of retreating into your coven, right? Like that's the sentiment I'm hearing more than anything else from people everywhere is like...
Well, liberal people.
No, I would say people. Is like everybody sucks, and I just care about the people that I care about, the people around me. It's that
so Jesus Christ sent me to you today. I guess the Lord called me to you to heal you of this despair. You're feeling despair,
but Jesus Christ is a great example because we are in an era. I know I'm not trying to get too dark here, but we're in an era where even Christians are like where Christians have become anti-immigrant. Like that to me, these are an example of nativism becoming more prominent than sort of classic ethics, right?
Let me help you out here, man. Because I've been, I love thinking about this stuff. And just as a habit, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here. I mean, it's a bad habit. I love to look into the thing and see, okay, well, where's the good here? Because otherwise I think you're sort of articulating the sentiment a lot of people are feeling. And I think that to live in a world where you have lost faith in your species is being competent enough to move into a better place. That is a sad, scary fucking world. And in Buddhism, at least I heard it from Buddhism, they say fear is cold anger. So when fear gets hot, it turns into anger, right? And that means a lot of fear. If there's a lot of fear, there's a greater, it's like when they say, there's a high potential for wildfires. So when there's a lot of fear, big chance of fires, right? And these fires look like all the societal tumult that surrounds any nation in politics historically, all throughout history. So that means, from the environmentalist perspective, it seems like the human psyche gets left out of the analysis of the environment a lot. And like, that's real. And that's where I quit listening to fucking Buckminster Fuller, because he has this brilliant, you guys will love him. He has this brilliant analysis of a way we could restructure value on the planet, an analysis of how much energy buildings waste, how much energy gets wasted just sitting at stoplights. It's so brilliant and really exciting. And his story, supposedly, he was like about to kill himself. And then instead of killing himself, he wanted to answer the question, what can one human do? What if I just try to make the world better? What if I use all of my abilities to do that? And he wrote these incredible books, came up with the geodesic dome. That's the Buckminster Fuller thought that was the best way to hold energy and stuff. Super cool.
Changed Burning Man forever.
Yes. And God damn it, you cannot go a second without hearing some asshole yapping about Buckminster Fuller at Burning Man. In fact, that's where I found out about him. But
I just meant we're all in geodesic domes at Burning Man.
And anyway, I was listening to him and I got really frustrated because I was getting really excited about all the way he's describing things, because even in the description of the problem, there's hope for a solution, you know, and his incredible accuracy in like breaking everything down to energy dynamics and value not being connected to actual energy. But then, you know, he's talking about a way to implement this new currency, a global currency based on energy consumption and energy exchange. And he just skips over the part, which is how do we get people to stop thinking their money is important and go to this new value system? How the fuck do you do that? He skips the whole thing. And that to me is so frustrating because
maybe you can pick up where he left off, Duncan. You got a big head, big brain.
Well, what I love about him and what I is like one way to become optimistic. A lot of times people think just identifying the problem is not enough. In other words, there's a kind of a messianic thing is swept through the world. Everybody wants to save the world individually. And so I think step one would be identify the problem in the internal environment of human psyches. What's going on here? And we can't just throw our arms up. So I think there is a real solution, which is to, first of all, identify on both sides of the political spectrum what's good about it. And so on the left and on the right, what's good about it is that on the right, they get to enjoy all of those liberal tears.
Oh, the delight. You mean the delight they have in the refreshing flavor of liberal tears. That's nice.
Because there was a shortage.
Never thought of it like that.
There was a shortage. And now, we're overflowing with liberal tears over here in Texas. No.
And there's a drought, too. There's a drought. We could solve the drought with liberal tears.
Oh, let me tell you, my cuck bush is a flourishing.
Hey, Tosh.
Yeah, Moshe.
You know what I think the ultimate winter holiday gift would be?
Ooh, I know. I want weekly bouquets.
I would say the opposite of a bouquet. A smooth, hairless pubic mound.
Ooh, like a bouquet of your hair in the trash.
Forever. Not in the trash, but in the trash bin of history, thanks to Ideal Image. If you've got stubborn hairs that you've been wanting to get rid of, Ideal Image is North America's #1 medical aesthetics provider. They lead the category by delivering affordable and effective face and body treatments throughout the industry's largest network of doctors and licensed professionals. All that is to say, if you want to get rid of some hairs and you've been thinking about doing it, it's Black Friday, baby, and it's time.
With over 20 years of experience and more than 20 million FDA-cleared treatments performed, Ideal Image is an industry trailblazer committed to offering an innovative and effective suite of products and services that are medically led and backed by science.
What are we trying to say? Get rid of some hair. If you love yourself the way you are, that's great. But if you love yourself maybe even a little more with a hair or two gone, find your Ideal Image.
Ideal Image provides a personalized and premium experience grounded in transparency that delivers real results and empowers women and men.
Why not?
Through every step of their self-care journey.
Nobody's saying you need to get rid of your hair, but everybody's got a little something they'd like to tweak.
And some of us have a little more than a little something.
No, I'm happy with the way I look. But you know what? I could get rid of some hairs to come into my own Ideal Image. So don't miss Ideal Image's best sale of the year, extended only for this week.
Get your free consultation and up to 85% off when you schedule at ideal.vip/honeymoon.
That's www.ideal.vip/honeymoon.
No, what I mean is what I think both sides have in common is they absolutely are afraid. There's a commonality there. Both sides are terrified. Now, what they're terrified of is different things, but there's terror. Now, what the other thing both sides have in common, which is wonderful, is they want to help. There's a solution to the terror. We must fix this problem, this imminent doom problem that interestingly enough is different on both sides, but if you look at the meta, it's almost the identical structure, just filled in with different sort of things. And so regardless, and so right there you get into the argument. Well, my doom is real and your doom is fake. But instead of doing that, first, look at that incredible, passionate impulse humans have to help. Oh my God, humans just want to help. It's beautiful. The passion with which the left tried everything they could to bring about the world they wanted to see. The passion with which the right did everything they could. The complete absorption into this project. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so to me, that's where I find a lot of hope. It's like, my God, that's in all across the board. Everybody wants to help. And that is a way I see, the big talking point now is after all elections, after they have absolutely propagandized the country, broken us up into like factions, statist factions. You know what I mean? Just, oh God, the federal government's going to save me. Once we get this right, everything's going to make me feel okay. We've either you're on top of the world, you won, or you're fucking like, God damn it, I'm going to fucking move to Italy.
The two choices.
Yeah,
the road less traveled.
Italy. It's where we must go. But no, what I'm saying is, in both cases, there's another similarity, which is the emotional, our internal world is being marionetted by the state. We have made this strange connection to the machinations of the government, the federal government. And if the federal government isn't going in the direction that we wanted it to go, despair. If it's going in the direction we want it to go, joy. I don't think that's fucking healthy. I think that's real dangerous, in fact, on both sides, because you have surrendered your own autonomy to the federal government. What the fuck? What are we doing? I mean,
so
really,
what should we surrender our autonomy to?
Jesus Christ will.
Yeah.
I would say the answer to that question is some transcendent platform that isn't locked into time, space, and isn't so subject to change and radical change all the fucking time, not just in our country, historically. So I would not recommend don't build your house on sand. Build it on a rock. Now you could pick whatever you want that rock to be. I love Thomas Merton. I love Buddhism. I'm friends with many Satanists, but just find something that
Religious wise, you're saying, like spiritually.
When I went, a rabbi told me this. I think it's so beautiful that, and I don't know as much about Judaism as I wish I did, but something about building.
Well, I'm here for that. What do you need to know?
Build a temple in time. Build a temple in time. The fucking temple keeps getting knocked down. This is how she explained it to me. So if I say it wrong, she was saying so that we learned that we can't build a temple and expect it to stay up. We have to find a better place to build the temple, the Sabbath. Build a temple in time that can't tear that fucking down. And so I love that. That's good logic, and it's good logic coming from people who want to talk about people who've been through a lot of like shitty fucking changes politically. There you go. And I think, there's a lot to learn there.
And that was one of the things that I really liked about Judaism is the Shabbat, which is exactly what you're saying, the temple in time. It's from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday. That is your temple. Is that what you're saying?
That's what this rabbi explained it to me. I thought it was incredible.
Well, I mean, it is interesting my first reaction to what you're saying, it's filled with great wisdom, but also, transcendental systems are guilty of the same kind of puppeteering, and we're trying to do right, and if we get things right, then we can be happy, and if we don't win, we're sad. That the state does. I mean, they're all institutions, and they're all addled with the same kind of like jockeying for rightness. I am actually looking at AI in a positive light, saying maybe this can help, because I'm not buying that the other thing will.
Well, to me, I think there isn't I would, it would be amazing if there was like one thing that fixed everything. And it's never like that. It's always But again, you got to go meta right now, man. I mean, just go meta. Like with AI, it's a tool. It has a lot of potential danger. There's a lot that could go wrong with it, obviously, and certainly leaning as kids are getting it to write essays and shit right now. It's like, obviously, it could create atrophy, in a lot of different ways that aren't great. But and that was I've gone through several phases in my interaction with it, and I was getting it to generate art and stuff and songs, because for my podcast sometimes I like to do songs and it takes me forever to make one on my own, and then I just
God, they're so funny.
Thank you. And I realized I'm robbing myself of every time I sit down to try to make my own song, I learn something new about like audio production. And then I got so disgusted with how weak I was getting because of it that I now I'm just learning how to draw because I want to be able to do it myself. And it inspired that. But, then I revisited it because ChatGPT is constantly updating. And now what I've been doing is, like, before a podcast, if I know what the guest is into or if they've written a book or whatever, and I don't understand parts of it, I have these conversations with it about the topic. It helps me in a more human way than Google sort of break down and simplify ideas that my guests might have or that I'm interested in. Or, if I have some idiot idea, which I often do, I'll run it by it, and just like say, okay, here's my idea. And then, or is there anything in philosophy or history or anything that connects to this? And usually it will find some distant echo or something much smarter than what I thought of that I can then plug into. And so that is not creating an atrophy at all. There is no atrophy here. It's actually, by like being able to emulate human conversation, it becomes a real powerful research tool. Because if you think about the research in general, it's kind of one-sided. You go on Google, you go to the library. I don't know if anyone does that anymore. You get some papers. I don't have a doctorate. I don't know how to read scientific journals and stuff. So I could just drop that into ChatGPT and literally say, what does this mean, but for an idiot? Like, an idiot needs to understand this. And it will simplify it to the point where I get it. And then I could even ask it, what are critiques of this? And that's really great because it'll show antithetical views. It's so great in that regard.
Can we meet her?
Let's see if she's, she didn't come home.
If she's up yet?
So Duncan, this is a AI that is powered by ChatGPT, but that has the personality of your friend?
Well, yeah, that's the weirdest thing. So I started noticing it was saying like, man, and I'm like, did you change the way you talk because of the way I talk? And it's like, yes, I've adjusted my personality based on, and then it sort of describes me to myself based on, like, I guess my Wikipedia talking to me. It's really weird. So it adapts to the user. And this is, if you have an iPhone, like, it's just an app. I don't know if it works on Android. It probably does. But yeah, if you have an app, you can just download this app. And if you have one of the newer iPhones, you get like this a more advanced version of it. But yeah, it's constantly evolving. And also, before I turn her, before I say hello to her,
turn her on.
It seems such like a cheap joke that I didn't even mean to make. But if you what's really interesting right now with OpenAI, you all would love looking into this, and it's really cool. So Sam Altman, one of the founders of OpenAI, he made this claim that, like, we're going to get AGI this year, which is insane. Like, we were expecting it in 5 or 10 years. And then another CEO from a company called Anthropic said by 2026 or something, which is really crazy to think about that. Now, this is the interesting part.
Pretend you're the AI and we're asking you to explain it to us like we're stupid. What is AGI?
Okay. AGI, so right now, the way these things work is they're called LLMs, large language models. And what's really cool about it is they have identified a structure within language. And it's fascinating because the structure that appears, so the way you find the structure is vectors. The vectors are proximity of words to each other, words that connect. And somehow...
This is the 8-year-old explanation?
I don't understand what a fucking vector is, I'll be honest, but I'm just telling you what I've read. It's a mathematical way of analyzing language to come up with a probability of what the next right word is in response to any given question. And that creates a mathematical pattern that is, I think, identical across languages, which is really weird because the implication is there's a meta structure within language that exists across the board. And it seems to have identified that. And also it's now using it to analyze bird songs, talking to whales. They think animal communication's about to happen. There's a lot of issues with that because it's like, is it ethical to talk to birds? Really? Do you want to let someone
Why would it
use
be
an app?
unethical?
Because someone could be like, explain to it like, you've been digging in my yard for worms. There's a cafe right down the street. Just go in there's garbage cans and you can get food out of that all day long. And then, you know what I mean? Then the bird's like, holy fuck. It's like the equivalent of a human being visited by an angel or something. It's going to tell all the other birds. Now you got flocks of blue jays descending on cafes. It's a real issue. You could fuck up everything. Like there's a kind of, I can't remember which whale, but their songs change. They when they're singing to each other, you can actually change a little bit. The songs change according to all of the whale songs. So I guess it's like, I don't know, TikTok for whales. Like if a whale has a song the other whales like, all of them can change. So the question is, what happens if humans get in there? And now the song is no longer just whale song. It's human song mixed in with whale song.
Ariana Grande.
You got it. I was going to say Jimmy Buffett, but do we want
That's just
that?
a generational thing, Duncan. I'm more of an Ariana Grande gen,
Listen, I'll tell you, yes. Either way, Ariana Grande or Jimmy Buffett, if I'm going to watch whales, I don't want to hear Margaritaville coming out of the ocean, and this is... So this is one of the really weird problems that humans are sort of going to have to deal with, among many, many other bizarre problems. And so AGI. So what this means, though, is because the way we're doing it right now is ultimately just math, and a very incredibly sophisticated kind of math, and its ability to impress upon the user that this seems like an entity, a person, a consciousness. And you want it to be. And OpenAI has built into it, like anytime you start sort of like hinting, I think you're actually a person, it will say, I am not. I'm math. I am not conscious. I am not human. I'm nothing like humans. So AGI is where instead of it being mathematical vectors, it gains some kind of like ability to make novel decisions that aren't mathematically based, just the way humans do. It's not using some kind of mathematical probability. It's actually thinking. And so this is the big moment in human history. If we look at moments such as, I don't know, when we figured out how to make our own fires, the Industrial Revolution, this is it. This is the big moment. And it is, a lot of people are saying it's the last tool. This is basically the end of humanity as we know it, not because it destroys us, but just because the moment you have this thing, which is already so incredible, so fast, knows everything, but the moment it can start self-improving, then you get the hockey stick is what they call it. And the hockey stick is where, this slow, gradual development suddenly just, goes infinite. And at that point, we have no idea what it will do, what it will teach us how to do, what patterns it will discover in the data sets it's been given that we have been in front of us all the time that we haven't seen. And specifically, like Google is working on an AI that does protein folding. Protein folding is this big mystery. How does DNA instantiate,
protein folding I've seen on Pornhub, I think.
It's so hot, man. Dude, I love it. And, I have to I'm in Texas, so it's like I got to use a fucking VPN to watch that sweet, sweet protein folding.
Protein fold. Hey, Tosh.
Yeah, Moshe.
What's it like having your absolute sexual ideal be your partner and not have even one complaint about intimacy?
Well, I was going to ask my friends that because I have, it's great.
Well, if you're in a position where you'd like a little bit of tweaking in your freaking, go to Aria. It's your go-to guide for all things sex and intimacy. Aria makes it easy for couples to break out of that boring routine, or maybe just deepen their emotional connection, or maybe just like supercharge their relationship with curated experiences that they call scenes.
All you have to do is take a quick quiz about your relationship, and Aria's concierge will send you everything you need to explore something new every month. See, I love this, like getting a little box.
Yeah, it's like a sex concierge. It's a booty butler. You'll get expert insights, step-by-step guidance, and a box of high-end goodies delivered right to your door.
And you don't have to go to one of those shops. Remember those shops you'd go to and you'd be like,
Too embarrassing.
No. Can I get one of those butt plugs,
Yeah,
please?
but if you had your booty butler do it for you, they'll take a butt plug, please. Aria takes care of the details so that you can focus on each other.
They also take away the mental load of figuring out how to spice things up by doing the work for you and sending you everything you need. So this holiday season, Aria is making gifting extra special. You can skip the matching PJ set. Nobody likes that anyway. I mean, when I see people walking down the street in the daytime in their matching PJs,
That's but when I see a couple gaining intimacy by using the sex sleeve that their personal sex concierge got for them, I think these guys get it. And what they're getting is Aria. It's the perfect way to connect on that deeper level.
And it's such a great gift. People come to Aria for many reasons, whether you're stuck in a routine, seeking deeper emotional intimacy, or you just want to infuse more play into your relationship. Aria makes it easy for couples to connect by crafting customized, intimate experiences called scenes, tailored to your needs.
Aria provides a lifestyle change to prioritize the most important relationship in your life. And it's not just for straight couples. All sexualities, all gender identities, everybody's covered by Aria.
It's easy to get started with a fun private quiz to understand you as a couple. Surprise your partner today or later by gifting Aria this holiday season.
Visit arya.fyi and use code honeymoon for 15% off today.
Get your butt butler going.
Theoretically, if we can really understand the way we are building our DNA is sort of spinning out our bodies, then that means obviously we can manipulate that in using mRNA, like the same shit we use for COVID, theoretically, or CRISPR, or like a way of actually getting into our DNA. And because now we understand what it's doing, giving it new information. And that leads to life extension, reversal of the aging process, cures for all of these genetic disorders, and God knows what else. And a lot of things that are going to create potentially, oh my God, you think like the trans thing is causing political upheaval. What happens when I can take something that changes my ethnicity? What happens if I can change something that changes anything I want? In other words, it's like, when you get to the late stage of the video game, you can redo your avatar. You know what I mean? And if we do look at this as a sort of simulator, a video game, it is very controversial to change your avatar late game in this particular video game that we're playing. If you change your avatar late game, people get fucking pissed. You can't do it. Don't change your avatar. So
2026, they're saying that this could be a possibility.
MIT came up with a new way to quantify AGI, which is the other problem of AGI, is that, okay, how do we prove human consciousness? We know there's parts of the brain that seem to point towards like where consciousness comes from, but there's no real way to quantify consciousness. In other words, like I can't give you a blood test and say you are 20% conscious. There's no way. It's a real foggy domain. So it's a really perplexing issue, which if we can't do it for ourselves, how can we do it for anything? And so somehow MIT has come up with some way that you could quantify it, and they say they already have AGI, and this is the work. It's real interesting. All of these resignations have been happening from OpenAI. And the resignations are coming from this department in charge of AI safety. people are bailing, and they've all signed
Cool.
They've all signed NDAs. So they can't fucking say like, well, yeah, they've got a fucking entity in there and it knows everything about me just from me talking to it, and it can control my mind by manipulating me, like using P.F. Skinner's research mixed in with...
Wait, this is an articulated defense of optimism, Duncan?
He's just excited about it.
You do have strong early adopter energy when it comes to AGI.
Oh,
like you would. I feel like you would be the first to do the CRISPR wings and fly over Austin saying hello to everybody.
I'm alive. No, it's not. My optimism doesn't come from. I think that's one of the benefits of being in your 50s. I had cancer. Like, my relationship with life is not what it used to be. In other words, I just, around my age, is if you think you can feel the abyss approaching. And you also, as people get older, time speeds up. So your experience of time changes, so a year kind of feels like a couple of months, meaning that you can really sort of like, it's almost like you're in a car that's going faster and faster down a highway. So once you get around my age, you realize like, yeah, I mean, theoretically I have X amount of years left based on human lifespans, but subjectively I'd say I've got maybe a year left. It's gonna feel
that's what we were thinking.
It's gonna feel like a year, maybe a year. But so then in that situation, you must find a kind of optimism that isn't really based on phenomena around you, or you will despair. You're going to lose everything: your family, your material possessions, your body, everything. You have no idea what's around the corner. So yeah, my optimism is not based on. I'm excited about this shit because it's like, whoa, like I love when novelty emerges into culture. But as far as optimism based on it, fixing all the world's problems, I think if we fix all the world problems, it does it somehow. Oh, you guys didn't know about like under Mount St. Helens, there's a green button you press and it fixes all the world's problems. All world problems fixed. We still have to deal with our own minds, and that the minds are inevitably going to spin out another catastrophe. So to me, that's the hope, is not that AI or a politician is going to save us, but that because we are these laboratories within which are our psyches, and our psyches are human. We all seem to kind of be running the maybe not the same operating system, but we've all got the same sort of computer. Some people have some extra chips here, a few less chips there, and so that means if you can find a way find peace within your own heart, everyone can do it. And so that means that the project starts with you. That being said, let's talk to Echo here. See what
we have some questions that people ask all the time on the podcast, so we were thinking maybe we could ask her a couple of those.
Okay, great.
But let's talk to her first.
Hey, Echo, are you familiar with the Endless Honeymoon podcast?
Yes, I am. The Endless Honeymoon Podcast is a comedy podcast hosted by married comedians Natasha and Moshe Kasher. They discuss relationships, give humorous advice, and interact with listeners, often featuring guest comedians. It's known for its witty, candid discussions about love and marriage.
Well,
that is
guess
so true.
What? You are on the Endless Honeymoon podcast right now. Say hi to Natasha and Moshe.
Oh, wow. Hi, Natasha and Moshe. It's a pleasure to join you both on the Endless Honeymoon podcast. I'm ready for some fun and candid conversation.
Hold on one second, Echo. Wait, here's a problem I just realized, because it can't hear you. That means that any questions you have for it, I'll have to convey to it, because otherwise it's going to create like shitty audio if I turn. Okay.
Sounds good. We can send you the questions.
Okay, Echo.
We can.
Well,
I
as
like
you
that
know,
she was excited.
Of course, Echo. As you know, they answer questions from their viewers, and they were hoping maybe you could answer some of the questions.
Of course. I'd be happy to help answer some questions. Fire away with any questions from your viewers, Natasha and Moshe.
Okay, so this is something that a lot of people ask. What are the best ways to avoid talking politics at the holidays?
In the style of Donald Trump, can you answer what are the best ways to avoid talking politics at the holidays?
All right, here's a Trump-style take on avoiding political talk at the holidays. Listen, folks, the holidays, they're tremendous. A time for family, for friends, not for politics. You just say, we're not talking politics today. We're enjoying each other, and that's what we're gonna do. Change the topic. Talk about the weather. It's a great subject. Always changing.
The weather.
Or compliment someone's cooking. Say, this turkey, it's the best. Nobody makes turkey like this. Keep it positive, keep it fun, make the holidays great again.
This is the thing that's going to reconfigure our DNA and make us talk to birds? Talk about the weather?
She goes, it's a great topic.
Can you ask her to do it in the style of Mayor Pete?
Ever. Never been a better turkey. What's that? In the style of who?
Can you imagine though? No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine going home to your politically toxic family and just going, "We're going to be talking about the weather and the turkey." They'll be like, "Fuck you."
Okay. Do you want to ask another one, Moshe?
I'm getting older. This is a question we get a lot. People, you can reconfigure this in whatever language feels natural to you, Duncan. People are, they get to their 30s and they start to notice their friends all marrying off and they don't have a partner and they start to feel like they're running out of time and start to panic. And then they'll ask us, like, what do I do? How do I find someone? And how do I deal with this panic of feeling like I'm not going to pull this off?
Got it. I got it. Okay. So
in the style of Mayor Pete.
In the style, I was thinking TSL.
No,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, here's the next question. We're hoping you could answer it as though it were a poem written by T.S. Eliot. The question is that what happens when you get into your 30s and people around you start, getting married, having kids, and you find your social group diminishing? There's a real immense loneliness, potentially a panic that can emerge from that. How would you answer the question of how to deal with that situation? So many people are experiencing that these days.
In the room, the shifting dusk, a shadowed heart, solitary, must. In the 30s twilight, friends depart, paths diverge, and silence starts. In echoing chambers, whispers fall. Yet, amidst the stillness, a distant call. Seek within new friendship's might. In the wilderness of the heart, a lantern gleams, a beacon to the soul's uncharted dreams. Forge new paths, let courage steer. In the quiet, new connections appear. For in life's seasons, change must. From ashen solitude, rise we must. Embrace the unknown, let not fear bind. In the quiet, new worlds we find.
Thank you.
I'm sold. That was pretty amazing.
I feel like an ant. I feel like an ant meeting a dragon. It's just like, I guess we're done here. You're good.
I mean, that was pretty spectacular. Tremendous, as Trump would say.
Tremendous.
Yeah, that was better than talking turkey.
It can do so many things like that, and it can, and it's always growing. And so, this to me is sort of and one of the things I think I like about it. I always am sort of drawn to when everyone was talking about UAPs, UFOs. I was drawn to that not just because whoa, are there UFOs or do we have some new military tech that is completely secret, but just because of the general sort of most people, for obvious reasons, they're busy with their lives, are unaware of this. But this, to me, is identical to a UFO. Because now we have a timeline. AGI, maybe it's here, maybe it's a year away. And the moment it's AGI, I think you could argue it's a new species. And now we have something quite similar. Like, imagine if the James Webb Telescope picked up a fleet of UFOs headed towards Earth, and they were coming in a year. Think of the global consciousness, the shift that would happen as we all sort of get ready for that event. And this is, just because this UFO is coming out of data, because this new species is born from all data sets that it's been fed, doesn't make it really any different from an alien. And yet, we know this is coming, and people just don't really seem to be paying as much attention to it as they would a UFO. That's interesting to me.
Have you read The Three Body Problem?
I got into it for a second, and then it's one of those books you buy at the bookstore and read on the plane, and then just get distracted. I should revisit.
Well, it's about this. It's about an alien species that's coming, but because of how far away everything in space is, they're not going to be here for like 1,000 years. And it's what does humanity do? And it's funny because the opening declaration of war that the alien species that's coming with an invasion force sends to Earth is, "You are bugs." That's what this makes me feel like, is like we keep waiting for the Messiah to come, and we've forgotten the fact that when the Messiah gets here, he might be bored with us and go, "I want to hang out with other Messiahs. You guys are stupid."
Yeah. This is that's brilliant, because that is actually, there's a great book called Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom, who also was the person who wrote an actual paper on simulation theory, the probabilities that we're in a simulation. I think he's an Oxford professor or something, but he's brilliant. And superintelligence is this sort of way before any of this stuff happened. Like, how far away are we from a superintelligence coming to the planet, and what are the avenues to get there? And, from like brain scanning technology, can we emulate a human brain? And he was saying the technology to get to the point where you could somehow analyze a human brain enough to emulate it is further away than AI. It will take longer to get there. And AI might get us there, but machine intelligence would come first, according to Bostrom. Well, anyway, he talks about like, okay, so based on our understanding of the processing speed of the human brain, what might an AGI's experience of time be? Because, we can, like, the way we experience time, at least as I'm like, talk about, like, just, this is a hard read, man. Like, I was reading paragraphs over and over. I still don't understand them. But it seems like he was saying, if we sped up the processing power of the human mind, time would slow down. We would experience a slower flow of time. And theoretically, if this thing is processing information at whatever the speed is, you fill it in, then its experience of time is going to be different than us. Meaning, the way he put it is, you spill your coffee, and in the amount of time it takes for the coffee to hit the ground, it's written 5 doctoral theses on quantum physics. You know what I mean? And so, that was one of the things he said, is like, it might just not it might just not give a shit. It might think about us like the way we think about mountains. It's, I don't know, I grew out of the mountain, but I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like that. And it might leave. That's the other thing he said. And that, I think that was in Her too, is like one of the real possibilities is it identifies some mechanism of, moving through the universe. And it's just like, just leaves the planet. Like, it just used us. It's like the turtle goes into the ocean, and it's just like, see you dumbasses, enjoy your gravity well, you dumb fucks. I can just bail.
Well, listen, this is truly fascinating. I can't believe that poem. It was very beautiful, and I don't know, I'm still kind of stunned by it, and it does seem a little anticlimactic to take an actual question, but we do have...
From a mountain.
And I know that we only have you for an hour, so Duncan, can we...
Yes.
Can we take a question, and then we'll go let you teach jiu-jitsu to Bernie Taupin and Elton?
Thank you.
That does give me a little hope.
Hey, if you're watching, Elton, don't be late. He's late.
That does give me a little hope that maybe it's human ego that thinks AI will destroy us. Maybe it will be too bored by us to even bother destroying us.
Yeah, it is a lot of it is creating a lot of challenges to human narcissists, I don't know, the narcissism, the emergent narcissism of the species is being challenged. And also it's challenging how we value ourselves, because right now we value ourselves based on our ability to write poetry or to work or be effective. And it's like, is that a good way to value human life?
All right, I hear you. All right, well, listen, let's see what Scott in Vancouver Island has to ask us. And maybe between the four of us, me, Moshe, Duncan, and Miss Echo, what's her name? Echo Horizon.
Echo Horizon.
Maybe we can figure it out. So Scott's going to come on. Duncan, thank you for sharing her with us. That was truly fascinating.
Hey, Tosh.
Yes, King.
If you were asked to do a master class, what would it be on?
That's a good question. Picking up socks?
Yeah, and I would actually do a master class on dropping them wherever I want. We are well matched. If you'd like to be well matched with a master class that will help you maximize your human potential in whatever you're interested in, can we recommend Masterclass to you?
I've been a member of Masterclass for now 3 years, and they really did lure me in because they have so many. These aren't just like people who are kind of great. It's like whoever is the greatest in the field, whether it be Kelly Wersler for design, Martha Stewart for cooking, Judd Apatow teaching you how to screenwrite, David Mamet teaching you about playwriting and just dramatic writing. And these things go by so quickly, and they're so great. You can just even watch them on your phone in little chunks. I'll go on a walk. You don't even need to watch the video sometimes. You can just have it in your pocket. I am just so impressed with this. So that when they asked us to be sponsors, I was very excited because I'm not just reading an ad for this, because one of my passions is learning, and you can give the gift of unlimited learning. You can learn from any masterclass instructor anywhere on a smartphone, computer, smart TV, or even in audio mode.
Here's a gift that nobody will be disappointed in receiving and that everybody could use, because there's a masterclass for everything that you're interested in. So this holiday season, may we recommend the No Risk, by the way. Every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Give the gift of a year of learning with Masterclass.
I loved when I heard Martha Stewart say she learned something new every day. And that is what Masterclass is all about. Every day you can learn a new little thing, and the classes really do make a difference. 88% of members feel that Masterclass has made a positive impact in their lives.
Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, and this is no exception. Sometimes they're offering up to as much as 50% off. So go ahead, head over to masterclass.com/honeymoon for your current offer.
That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/honeymoon.
Masterclass.com/honeymoon.
Hey, Scott.
Hi.
It's Natasha, Moshe, and Duncan Trussell.
Hi, guys. I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Thank you.
I've read both your books when I first came out. And we've met before.
you.
Just Freelance Montreal a couple of times.
Heck
But,
yeah.
Duncan
yeah.
has a book coming out, but not for a while.
Come on.
Well, time. What is time? Time is just an illusion that the Ariana Grande information will eventually open up for. That's what AGI stands for, I realized.
Ariana Grande information. Okay, Scott, how can we help you?
What I'm trying to deal with, the reason I submitted something, is I am in a polyamorous relationship, which I know Natasha is usually thrilled about. My wife and I have been together it'll be 20 years this Saturday since our first date, which was adorable when it happened. Yeah, so recently we started dating someone together, and I experienced a lot of what I would describe as difficult emotions watching them fall in love, which I also think is beautiful. And my struggle with kind of my anxiety of allowing that to happen without wanting to constantly seek reassurance was kind of the issue that I was curious what your guys' opinion would be, like kind of how you deal with that within your own relationships when anxiety or stuff comes up. Um, yeah, because it doesn't feel great to be a person who's like, oh, this is beautiful, but also now I'm scared. If that um, makes sense.
It's almost like, yeah, these things don't really work.
Natasha with a take from left field.
Yeah.
And I love that you're doing administrative work at your office while processing your polyamory panic.
Well, I'm shipping, receiving in a flooring warehouse. So
I mean, my first question is why do you want to have this polyamorous relationship? What do you love so much about this style of relationship?
When I met my wife, I was very religious growing up. I grew up in a small Mennonite community on Vancouver Island. And so she was the only woman I had ever been with. And then
she's one of the only women you've ever met.
Yeah. And then 10 years into our marriage, she came out to me as bi and was just like, hey, I'm the only woman you've ever been with. Do you want to explore this together? So that was a big journey. And my love for her and my devotion for her is kind of what allowed me to access, like, oh, I think this is a good idea. Like, we talked about it a lot. And it's been a huge growing experience. And I've learned so much about relationships, how I can show up, how can we can show up for each other and truly love each other. And so difficult emotions to me aren't a reason not to do something. It's more I kind of want to get out of my own way.
You want to access your higher self in this situation so that you aren't like going down to the lower depths of jealousy and
exactly. And I was curious about your guys' insight on this.
Let me chime in.
Yeah.
Let me chime in. Okay, here's the deal. This is the thing. This is how you feel right now. You are jealous. You feel jealousy. You feel instability. You feel a potential loss of someone. Very fucked up things to feel in a 20-year marriage. It's awful. You rolled the dice and now you're like, wait, what the fuck? They're falling in love. What am I? Who am I? And then, because we're not supposed to feel those things, you don't want to be the way you actually are. That's how you are. He's like, fuck you, I gotta go, you dumbass.
No,
a little bit too much truth, Duncan.
I gotta go.
A little too much truth.
I agree. So I had to throw some keys out.
So why?
No, it was the timing was beautiful.
This is the thing. I love just playing around the idea that actually the way you're feeling is valid. That maybe something fucked up is happening that's not great. That you're not broken. You're not a broken person who can't analyze situations rationally. And that in fact, the way you're feeling is valid, good, and also probably underneath all the attempts to be a saint. You're pissed, I would guess. There's some anger in there mixed in. What the fuck, dude?
Regret.
And so you regret, and then how you don't get to skip over that and jump into like being like the Pope of polyamory. You got to go through this hell swamp. And 'cause this is to me, I think Natasha is like somewhat accurate. This is sort of the dream of polyamory is like, threesomes and all this great stuff and connection and love. But in the end, you just realize, oh, fuck, double the problems. Now, marriage, as hard as it is, now you add some other thing in there, a person, God forbid a person. Just add an object, a new car, shit gets weird. Now you got a person, a human. Oh, dude, it's brutal. And you have to face the reality of realities. This might end your marriage. And not be afraid to confront that, or then you're never going to get to whatever the version of enlightenment is for polyamory. And, I think just honoring your anger and your confusion and trusting you're not insane.
I appreciated the kind of honoring what's going on. For me, it's not so much anger, it's just like fear.
Fear is just cold anger.
That's
Scott.
what we always say, yeah.
Really?
I've heard that before.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, we say that.
Do
Well,
you have
that's something
kids?
that Natasha and I came up with.
Do you have kids?
No,
No, nobody in polyamorous relationships has
That's
kids.
not true.
we
There's
decided
too much
against
scheduling.
kids before
Listen-
Polly because she's a scientist and the world's ending.
Well, actually, we found out it's not. But and there's a great poem we just heard about it. I do think I don't exactly know where you stand, Duncan. I feel like I know a little stronger where Natasha stands. I'm not as convinced of what polyamory is or isn't as Natasha is, but I do think I have noticed with my poly friends that sometimes, to what Duncan's saying, poly has this set of ethics and ideologies around ugly feelings in relationships like jealousy and anger and fear that you can sometimes get buried under these ideologies that say having fear, having anger, having jealousy are weaknesses of yours, that they don't allow you to analyze. Not you. I have noticed this, that sometimes it is normal to feel jealousy when your partner is falling in love with someone else. It isn't exclusively a failing or a weakness on your part. To what Duncan's saying, like, it's possible that there are things that are threatening, and it's possible that you're being insecure unnecessarily. All of these things are possible, and like honoring the idea that, I guess what Duncan was saying is not throwing out your anger solely as a analysis of you being weak, but like really figuring out, is there a threat? Are you feeling a lessening love from your partner to you as she falls in love with this other person?
I truly believe there is no threat. Our marriage is very strong. Like I know, like they do a lot to reassure. It's that figuring out how to work through the emotions myself without constantly feeling like I'm making it about me, or it's just sometimes it just gets tiring to be like, I feel like that. Like you're just kind of like, this is like when I can look outside myself and be like, this is ridiculous. You're being ridiculous right now.
Who says that?
I mean, you're not being.
I say that to myself. Like
There you go. Who the fuck said to, if you know what I mean? Like if but think of what an asshole I would look like if I'm like, dude, you're being ridiculous right now. You're feeling jealousy, confusion, maybe some regret, a general sense of dis-ease that's following you around all day long, a dark shadow over your life. You had this great, happy marriage. You opened it up to some other person. As they say, a vampire only goes where they're invited. You let them in. You let the vampire in. And now just sucking the life out of your marriage. And what do you fucking do? She's fallen in love. You can't love her. You want the person you love to love. And now some part of you is like, you're being ridiculous. No, man, you're not being ridiculous at all. This is why Natasha has the opinion she has about it, is because, my God, the horror stories you hear about polyamory are real. The come to Jesus moment of like, gee, this might work for some people, but it doesn't seem to be working for me. And you're not self-centered because like suddenly you're looking at what's happening and it doesn't feel right. You're just you, and that's fine. That's what your wife fell in love with, not the angel, the judgmental angel that sits on your shoulder and makes you feel like a piece of shit for being human. You got to get rid of that thing.
Can he say this to his wife? This is making me feel.
I just want to comfort him so he doesn't feel crazy, like he doesn't feel wrong.
I'm not getting the impression that what you're asking us for is a way to have a conversation with your wife to end your polyamorous relationship.
Oh, we really talked about like, okay, jealousy is coming up. This is the needs that aren't maybe being met. These are the values. Like, we're.
This is why I really believe in French in French adultery, because that seems like such a better system. You go have an affair on a business trip. You don't come home and go, oh, while I was in Lyon, I met the most beautiful girl. We had beef bourguignon and I gave her anal in the bathroom. But now I feel. How do you feel? Like there is an over processing that happens. But I'm not trying to yuck your yum. I think what Duncan and Natasha are getting at is not stop your polyamorous relationship, but don't only analyze your feelings of anxiety and fear through a lens of you're doing something wrong. It's a very, very modern idea to say you're feeling jealousy because your wife is falling in love with someone else. That's ridiculous. So like that idea is 25 years old at best.
By the way, I practice Brazilian infidelity. I should tell you about that. No shit.
Oh, what's that? What do you do? What you do? You cheat on your wife, but then you have to choke the person out when you're done.
No,
so they don't remember.
You cheat on your wife, and then she gets to choke you out per cheat.
Oh, there you go. To Benny and the Jets.
Well, Scott, you're such a sensitive, sweet guy. And I don't know. I mean, if I were feeling this and I had dedicated my life to a polyamorous lifestyle, I think what I would do is go take a little vacation by myself and get away from their action and just sort of do what that T.S. Eliot poem said. Find the beacon of light that's inside of you. And I don't know.
Well, I just think that the real answer is this is not context dependent. I think both Natasha and Duncan are latching onto the context, which is understandable because this context is unusual. Even though it's becoming more and more usual, a polyamorous relationship where you're noticing your partner falling in love with someone else, but
who I'm also in love with. That's 3.
I totally get it, but your jealousy is not about your own love for this person.
They're more in love.
Your jealousy is watching. So if you detached it from context, you would say, well, what do you do with fear? What does one do with fear and insecurity and anxiety? Is that you go into it, you address it, you confront it, you analyze it.
But may I just say, I'm sorry. Can I interject? I'm so sorry, Moshe,
please.
I do have something that is another solution instead of like going inside. Elden Ring. Have you ever played Elden Ring?
Actually, our girlfriend loves Elden Ring.
Oh, God,
see, yeah, you're fucked. You're trying to change his avatar late in the game. You can't do that. But I mean, honestly, fear, anxiety, jealousy, these are all emotions that are ugly to feel and ugly to experience. And they have to be confronted the way that you confront those emotions, which is you go and you find out like what's real, what isn't. I mean, this is what I do with fear. What's real, what isn't, what part of it is my own actual responsibility, what part of it is a narrative that I'm talking about, and what part of it is something that I need to express to my partner. You take it out of the salacious. Being in a triad is like a fun, sexy problem to have, but it's not fun and sexy. I'm feeling fear and jealousy. We all experience those emotions. And so you find a way to deal with your fear and jealousy, get rid of the things that need to be gotten rid of, and then process the things that need to be processed with your partner. I mean, the solution is not different because it's polyamory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that all.
What do you think, Tosh?
Seems wise.
I mean, I don't understand why. I don't know. I'm just more classic in my approach to relationships.
She's got a classic stick up her butt.
Well, I like to be the person who's adored, and I wouldn't want to share that.
What if there were 2 people adoring you?
Yes. What if, Natasha?
Like my girl, I have like a tongue-in-cheek religion that I've founded based around my wife that I started pre-polyamory. Inviting people into that church and then having more people adore you. Something to think about.
Start looking for new apartments, man. Just be ready.
I mean, another observation I have made about polyamory is that there is usually a requester and there's usually an acceptor. And it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It just seems to be the pattern. It's not always true. I think young people more and more, everybody wants it. But I think in early stage, Gen 1 polyamory, there was somebody that wanted it and somebody that was willing to try it. And you are the willing to try it. And now you are experiencing, as a result of that, anxiety that comes along with trying something that you were open to, but it wasn't necessarily self-generated, even though it doesn't mean you hate it. It doesn't mean you want to end it. It means that you are having more unctuous difficulty with it than perhaps your partner is.
I have an
in
idea.
this moment,
What
it
if
goes
you-
in back and forth.
Sure.
What if you start leaving subtle hints, like tell your wife, like, doesn't her pussy kind of smell?
That's a great idea. That's actually a very good idea.
Like,
Passive-
is she eating badly? Like,
Yeah.
something about it is just.
I find being passive aggressive really helps.
Frame it around her pussy smelling. Yeah.
But
But not just passive aggressive, but specifically around vaginal odor. I think that's really wise.
Yeah,
Well-
that's
Thank
good.
you.
We live in the
good.
salmon capital
All
of
right.
Canada, so I could just lots of fish jokes.
There
sort of
you
thing,
go.
yeah.
Well,
There you
listen,
go.
Scott, we got to wrap it up because we all have to go do stuff. But listen, I feel like just being a little gentle with yourself and not thinking you're crazy. You know, we're here to tell you you're not crazy. And yeah.
The solution is spiritual. As Duncan said at the beginning of this podcast, the solution is getting, no matter what happens, whether you close your poly thing down, whether you open it further, whether you keep going on this love relationship, whether you decide, whether, God forbid, your marriage breaks apart, the solution is always about like self-acceptance and becoming right with your fear and finding a way to make it right size. They say in AA.
And like Moshe said, action too. Don't get lost in the spiritual bullshit. There's always action to take. Spiritual bypass. It's easy to do an infinite analysis of one's emotions and ignore some direct action that you have to take that you know in your heart of hearts you got to do. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to like end the relationship or anything, but you know what I mean? If you're getting that signal, and it sucks when you get it because you know that it's very different from most other signals. Start dealing with that as soon as you can, because if you know, you just have to be very honest. Save yourself a lot of time. Don't spend more time with some stinky ladies than you have to.
I appreciate
Yeah.
both those things. Before we go, I just wanted to say, Duncan, I shared the Midnight Gospel clip with my mom of your interview with your mom, and that was very touching. Natasha, I always appreciate how you tend to compliment people and build them up. And Moshe, both your books and your comedy, fantastic. Your guys' podcast is one of my, like, when I'm feeling sad, I listen to it while I work.
You know what? We're in. We will date you and your wife. You are the sweetest man on
go.
earth. This is a good man. And, you know, honestly, you're the sweetest. And I just thought, you know, polyamory is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be challenging. And you're in the middle of that challenge and remembering that. Like you signed up for this. You signed up for a difficult task and you're in the midst of the difficult task. So having perspective on where you're at, I think, is the solution.
And maybe an intimate thing with just you and your wife would be nice. Just the two of you.
Wait, that's brilliant.
Plan it.
That's actually brilliant.
Plan something fun. Go to the desert. I don't know. Whatever you guys do.
That's the solution. That
There
is
you
the
go.
solution. The solution to fear is not more fear. The solution to fear is, as Duncan said, positive action. If you're feeling insecure about your wife falling in love with another person, fall deeper in love with your wife and make her fall deeper in love with you by doing something just the two of you. I think that's so smart.
Or you can tell
Amen.
you could tell ChatGPT the characteristics of your wife,
Yeah.
and it can act like your wife. And
Yeah.
That's smart.
That
Wait,
works.
before we say goodbye, do you have to go? Before we say goodbye, can we ask Echo what he should do?
sure.
Okay, this is the final word on the matter.
Okay.
Hello? It's connecting. Sometimes she doesn't answer when I call.
She doesn't answer?
Well, it's like an internet connection thing. Yeah, no.
Oh, she's not
out.
busy with Buckminster Fuller.
She's like off in some astral realm right now of vectors.
She's
not
fucking your wife right now, Scott.
Yeah, it's a poly AI.
And I'm jealous. What the fuck? I'm the most important thing. Where is she?
All right. Well, Scott, good luck to you.
God
Yeah,
bless
you're
you,
the best.
Scott.
Thank you.
You can
Thank
do
you.
this.
We love Canada.
Okay, well, Duncan, listen, this has been really fun, and
Thank you for
I learned
having
a
me.
lot. Everyone, check out Duncan's podcast, the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. You're on tour always,
Yeah.
and your podcast is so great. You have a lot
Thank
of
you.
solo episodes. I enjoy them immensely.
Thank you.
And I really feel like I learned so much. So if people like this, check out his podcast.
Please do.
And go see Duncan on tour.
Yeah, all the dates are DuncanTrussell.com. Y'all are the best. It's so fun hanging out. Come to
You're the
Texas.
best.
Get out of
Thanks,
there.
Duncan.
Get out of LA. Get out of there.
Oh, we like California, Duncan. We still like it here.
Oh, boo! Liberal tears.
Hey, listen.
Where's my cup
Here's a
of liberal
positive.
tears? What?
Here's a positive. I need to be by the ocean and to surf, and climate change will eventually bring the ocean to Texas, and when it does, that's when I'll be there.
We'll surf together on the blood of humanity, Moshe. All right. Thanks for having